It's May of 2022 and I am steadily approaching the 400 mark on my GameCube set. I thought it would be nice to make a little video here to kind of show you my progress and discuss any challenges that I have faced along the way. There is a difference between a 554 game set and a 558 GameCube game set, so we're gonna go into that. And I've also added up the amount of money that I have left to spend on this GameCube set in order to complete it, and the number is kind of shocking, so let's get into it. Over the last couple of years, I have been the guy to say, wow, GameCube prices are ridiculous right now. And while that is true, let's be honest, this is game collecting now. This is not just GameCube that is ridiculous, it is all of video game collecting, and it's not just right now anymore. Video game collecting has taken a crazy turn, and it's not ever going back to normal. Period. How long have I been collecting the set? Well, you could say that I've been collecting the set since the GameCube released in the early 2000s, but I hate when people say that, so let's go ahead and say I started collecting it around 2015 with 40 childhood games. I've been an actual collector of video games since 2015, and at some point after that I decided, hey, I'm gonna go for the GameCube set. So you're thinking, wow, it's been 7 years and you still haven't finished it? What's up with that? Well, if I tell you that I was a college student working a fast food job at the time, that might answer your question. Another reason is I used to be an offer-up and garage sale type of collector, meaning that I would not use online features, I would not really buy from game stores a whole lot, I was just looking for insane deals. And that is not the way to complete sets. Thankfully, I have seen the light now, and eBay is where most of my games come from these days. I've been crossing off games way faster the last few years. I'm currently sitting at 378 games. I want to go through the heavy hitters real quick and see which ones I do and don't have for the set. First off, the biggest of big boys, Pokemon box. And boy am I pumped to spend over $1,000 on that one. If I'm being completely honest, I do not foresee myself spending the extra, I don't know, $1,000 to get the cardboard big box around it. I just can't see myself, I don't know, I cannot convince myself that that is worth it. It's cardboard at the end of the day. I'm a collector, sure, but this thing is not worth it to me. Hopefully I can work out a trade with someone between now and then. The next two are Cubivore and Gotcha Force. Gotcha Force actually cost me less than $10 back in my offer-up days, but at the expense of no manual. I'll get that one CIB eventually, but it's just not a priority for me right now. After I complete the set, there will be a lot of games that I need to upgrade, and that'll be fun. Cubivore was a gift on the other hand, and is immaculate, complete in box. I think I'm the third owner of this one. Next is Disney Sports Basketball, and man has that one shot up. The only complete in box copy of Disney Sports Basketball right this moment is a 4-game lot that costs $700. And I've actually been considering grabbing that one because I don't think I have any of the 4 games, and $700 for those is actually not too bad, all things considered. 2 more I still need, Chibi Robo and Go-Go Hyper Grind. One is an Atlas title, and one has just always been expensive for whatever reason. I do have a complete Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. That one is, you know, big whoop. I hate that common games can be this expensive, but it is what it is. NCAA College Basketball 2K3 has surprisingly stayed at the same cost for like years now. I think it's because no one wants to play a sports title, so the only people buying it are the actual set collectors. That's another one that I still need, unfortunately. The next two are Ribbit King and Spirits and Spells, which I forgot to grab off of my shelf. Those are 2 that I recently added within the last 6 months. And the last one is Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2 Plus. I do think that of the top 10, this is probably the coolest one. Now I will throw in a couple here. Def Jam New York and Skies of Arcadia could both make it into the top 10 depending on the weather that day, so I'll go ahead and mention them as well. I do own Skies of Arcadia. That's another one that came from my offer-up days and is missing the manual, but I do not own Def Jam just yet. So you might be wondering, why didn't you hear any Metroid or Zelda in that top 10 list? Honestly, I have done a ton of thinking about what counts and doesn't count for me personally when I'm collecting sets. What I'm about to say applies to all sets, not just the GameCube. I personally do not count games that are multi-packs that have multiple discs inside of them, or cartridges. Just let me explain that a little bit. For instance, Dexter's Lab counts towards the Game Boy Advance set. Powerpuff Girls also counts towards the Game Boy Advance set. When you take both of those games and throw them into one budget box, I don't think that it counts towards the set. An exception to that is when games are actually combined onto one single disc or cartridge. 4 games on one game pack, you'll see here, has GT Advance 1, 2, and 3 and MotoGP all on the same cartridge. Now the reason that counts for me is because they're all on one cartridge. I mean, I don't really know how else to describe it. If I were out there collecting loose Game Boy Advance games, I wouldn't have Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and count that as one game. And I don't know, that just kind of makes sense to me in my head. Now, how does this relate to the GameCube set? As I mentioned, some people count 558, some people count 554. I think it's 554 because there are 4 combo packs on the GameCube. They are the Wind Waker and Ocarina, Pac-Man World 2 plus Pac-Man Versus, Darkened Sky and Outlaw Golf, and of course the Metroid Prime and Wind Waker combo. Because all of those games each released individually on their own, I will count those games independently. I will not count them combined. Obviously, there are a lot of people who will disagree. There are people that will assume that I am just trying to cheap out and save money, and to those people, I would say 2 things. First of all, I'm planning to buy a Pokemon box. And secondly, if these games were $5 a pop, I still would not count them towards the set. I do, however, think they are very interesting, and I think anyone who has them is awesome. I will probably own them eventually, but that's not going to change my mind on whether the set is 554 or 558 games. Now, one other thing I'd like to mention here, Pokemon box could totally be counted or not counted towards the set. If you think about it, that is not even a video game. Pokemon box is as much of a game as the Game Boy player is. And no one counts the Game Boy player as a game towards the set. I don't know why Pokemon box is on my list. Maybe I still have some more thinking to do. I don't see it coming off of my list for whatever reason. Maybe it's because the game came in an actual GameCube case, but it just kind of feels like it belongs in the 554 set to me. I know that sounds lame, but use your own discretion when you're making your set list. Now let's go into the 176 games that I still need for the set. On May 1st of this year, I went and searched for literally all 176 games, wrote down their lowest CIB buy it now price on eBay, and I'm using that as an estimate for how much money I still have to spend on the set. This is obviously just an estimate, and games will fluctuate up and down between now and then, but I think it's a pretty good way to put things into perspective. It also helps me set a goal, like sort of a bar to stay under when I'm purchasing the rest of the set. So let me go into a little more detail. If I were to purchase every game right now on eBay, the last 176 games would cost me $10,700 US. That is the absolute lowest that these games would cost me on eBay, buy it now, CIB, on May 1st. Excluding Pokemon box, the cheapest complete in box missing the cardboard around it Pokemon box at the time was $2,000. So that puts us at $8,700 if we exclude Pokemon box. The plan from here on out is to kind of fill out a column next to these numbers here and show like how much I actually spent on each game. At the end, I'm going to compare these totals and I'll see how much I ended up spending compared to, you know, the estimate I made on May 1st. If all goes well, it should be much lower than $10,700. I highly recommend keeping an Excel sheet for data like this and looking back at it down the road. It's super interesting. So let's break down this Excel sheet. 20 games are $100 or more. 10 games are in the $70 to $99 range. There are 33 games between $40 and $70. 20 to 30 seems like a small price to pay for a video game, right? But when there are 46 games in this section, that crap adds up. And lastly, there are still 56 games under $20, which I suppose is a good thing. And that's kind of what I mean when I say it puts things into perspective for me. I was feeling like, wow, you know, less than 200 games to go, 400 is a huge landmark, I must be almost done. No. Not even close. I cannot believe that there are still 20 games over $100 that I need for the set. I have a lot of games that are worth over $100 already. Why on earth is Mario Party 6 a $100 game? That makes no sense. Please stop paying triple digits for a Mario Party game. It's common. Tracking this data also kind of shows me that like I haven't been just scraping off the bottom, you know, buying every sports game when I see it. I've really been focusing on the higher stuff, which, I don't know, that kind of makes me feel better. It shows me that I still have a lot of opportunities to go and spend $5 here, $20 here, whatever, you know, those are the easy purchases to make, even if it is a lot of them. Now, I promised you at the beginning we'd talk about some challenges I have faced along the way. If you're planning to go for the GameCube set yourself, what are some things that you should be on the lookout for? What are some things that you should be worried about? Well, let me tell you, there are absolutely no rare games on this platform, and that's great news for you. You will never spend years, months, even weeks looking for one specific game, complete in box, to pop up on eBay. If you want a game from this set, you can find it, period. If there is one game that might be considered kind of rare, like pretty uncommon, I keep telling people to buy this game. It's Bust-A-Move 3000. This is the only game from the set that I've seen that can go like a week or a few days without actually popping up on eBay complete in box. Anytime you see Ubisoft's little rainbow logo from the late 90s to early 2000s, you might want to check if the game is rare. I've seen this across multiple platforms. The Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, they seem to have a lot lower print runs in those days. I mean, I've seen a lot of games end up being uncommon to rare from Ubisoft, so just keep that in mind when you're collecting. Other tips: do not buy these games without manuals. If you're thinking about going for a complete set that is boxed and CIB, or maybe you don't care, you'll take them all loose, first of all, reconsider your life decisions. Set a standard for yourself. It's either going to be complete or nothing. These games are definitely going to cost you more. I mean, there is a serious premium for buying these games with the manual. It's totally worth it. You don't want to have to go back and get these later. You will absolutely regret having a wall full of games missing manuals, I guarantee it. Unless it is dirt cheap at a garage sale, you should commit to buying these games complete in box. Something else I would say is just think about what you want to complete in the set. Do you want these multi-packs? Do you want the 558 set? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you want to count 553 because Pokemon Box doesn't count, that's cool. But honestly, you need to do it off of like what you think actually counts. Don't say, I don't want to spend $1,500 on Pokemon Box, so I'll just go with the 553 set. Your mindset should be like, okay, this does count for the set, this doesn't count. And that needs to be your mindset across every platform that you collect for. You don't have to prove anything to anyone when you're set collecting. You're doing it because you love collecting video games, and that's it. You're collecting these things for yourself. I, on the other hand, am just trying to get that sweet badge on Video Game Sage. So that's pretty much it for this update video, guys. What sets are you collecting? I would love to know in the comments below. Or are you a sane person? Let me know that too. Do not forget to join the channel membership for just $2 a month. You can get a bunch of little perks and it helps support the channel. Also join the Discord, which is completely free, and it is an awesome place to hang out and talk about collecting with a bunch of fellow collectors. Big shout outs to my channel members: Tyler, Game Collecting Reaper, Craig's Game Room, Daily Beating, Dan Evil Robot, X Button Gaming, Nicholas, Vinny Capone, and the Wolverine. I appreciate everyone watching this video, and until next time, guys, I will see you right here on Bird Dog Gaming.